Thank you very much for joining me. I'm meteorologist Brian Shields. Watching out for some development in this area that will eventually work its way through the Caribbean. Now, some of the good news from yesterday, that holds. I'm not seeing any signs of immediate development, so that's some of the good news. I want to get into another strong tropical wave out there, why there hasn't been a ton of named storms this season, and I want to show you the winds on this as it progresses through the Caribbean. It does start to spin up near Jamaica and the Cayman Islands back toward Belize, so watching that for long term. So I want to get into that, how it works off to the west and the potential that it kind of moves its way into the Gulf of Mexico. Here's a closer look. So we've got a lot of rain and storms around right now, right? Nothing organized though, but this is the area that we're watching for the potential of development. It's basically a strong tropical wave or a tropical disturbance moving by, and you see how it's broken. I was mentioning that yesterday. Some of our islands are dry, others we're getting dumped on, and where we get the rain, we're going to get those tropical downpours. We're going to see some flooding, and mudslides will be a potential, plus some gusty winds as this area starts to work its way through. So you see these brighter colors underneath that, that's where we're having some of the heavier rain. So anywhere from Trinidad and Tobago right up through Antigua and Barbuda, through Anguilla, and then swinging back toward the British and U.S. Virgin Islands, chance of some heavier areas of rain and storms. Now what happens next is what I want to get into. Now we jump out here, so anywhere from St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Trinidad and Tobago, here's Barbados, jumping well out here, lots of action out here. Now one thing of note though, this hurricane season has had more stable air out here. That is a good thing. There's been some extra dust, some sinking air, so the showers and storms aren't building up as much, right? So you can see it here. Here's some of the dry air that's kind of around these tropical waves. So as these have been coming off the coast of Africa, they've been having trouble developing, and that's great news. Now the models though, and we're in September, the models and environmental conditions are a little more conducive for development, trying to develop a couple of these eventually, so I'll put those on the back burner for now. But overall there's been some good news in the hurricane season, at least temporarily. But in the short term, let's get to this, the most likely track as far as this tropical disturbance goes. Now I've been showing this I think for about 4 or 5 days now, and generally it's been holding, except to the end point. I've had it not quite as strong, but this tropical disturbance moves through today and tomorrow. Then as we work our way into Wednesday, it'll be just to the south of Haiti and the Dominican Republic. Now on Thursday, this tropical disturbance is going to be near Jamaica. Conditions will be more favorable, more conducive for development. Favorable is kind of a positive word. I don't like to use that when we're talking about developing systems because it's not much positive about that. But conditions will be more conducive for development around Jamaica back through the Cayman Islands. That's when it could start to spin up into a tropical storm. Then the question is, does this move toward Belize or does this work its way into the Gulf of Mexico? If it stays anywhere from nothing to a tropical storm, it'll work its way more to the west. So that's kind of the weaker scenario. If it does get stronger quickly, things that spin a little bit more, that are stronger, will be it'll feel these fronts up to the north, and it's more likely to make a curve. Right now I'm leaning with more of a westerly solution. With that said, that could bring a tropical storm close to Belize, and I want to show you that, and then eventually emerging back into the western Gulf of Mexico or the Bay of Campeche. So this is going to be kind of a long track system, but the good news is in the short term, right on track from what we have been talking about for days and days and days. I'm not seeing any development over the next few days. That is some really positive news to pass along because we don't need anything spinning up, yet alone anything spinning up quickly. Now, today, anywhere really from Puerto Rico all the way down through Trinidad, including St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Dominica, Martinique, St. Lucia, Saba, Statia, pick your spot. We're in monitor mode for the chance of flooding, right? Not a named system, but we're going to watch out for the mudslide potential and the flooding. Please leave your comments, your location. Let me know what's going on or not going on. Some of us won't get a whole lot either. It's kind of that broken area. Now, as we get down the road, Cayman Islands and Jamaica, we are still in monitor mode, kind of a bigger monitor mode, if you will. I'd appreciate it if you'd spread the word just to get the right information out. By the time we hit the end of the week, we're going to have some areas of rain around with some gusty winds and the potential still that this area could be developing into a tropical storm. Now, if you're in Jamaica and the Cayman Islands, I'm not seeing this at this point that this thing's going to quickly turn into a hurricane or anything like that. So that's good, of course. With that said, we're going to watch out for increased rain and the potential does start to get stronger. Know that behind the scenes, I'm keeping an eye out for any signs of development, but just not seeing that at this point. And then by tomorrow, the Yucatan of Mexico, watching over anywhere from from Merida, and then you get over toward the Caribbean side, Cozumel, Cancun, down through Belize, Ladyville, Hopkins, Honduras, Roatan. We may go into monitor mode for the potential of tropical storm conditions later this week, which I want to show you in the American model in just a second. Now, the icon, the American model, have this becoming a tropical storm somewhere in the Western Caribbean or the Gulf of Mexico. The European model right now, and I'll show you that too, doesn't have this developing, right? It hasn't developed yet, and the European model's not really seeing it at this point. The Canadian model does also have it becoming a tropical storm. Still, most of the models have this eventually becoming a named system. We'll wait and see. Those water temperatures, as we know, very warm, where the tropical disturbance is now. Warm water, 30 degrees Celsius, 86 degrees Fahrenheit, but water is just water temps are one of just so many conditions for things to develop, and that's why it has not developed. There's been overall some stable air, so that's good news for us in the Eastern Caribbean. Gulf of Mexico, Bay of Campeche, some of these water temperatures 31 degrees Celsius. So whatever this is, as it works its way toward the Western Gulf, those water temperatures, yes, of course, as we know, very warm. And the wind shear is not going to be super high on Wednesday. This map is kind of nutty, so it even takes me a second. Here's Jamaica, Cayman Islands, here's Cuba, here's Haiti. And what this is showing, you see this kind of blue shading in here, so this is the Western Caribbean. That's low wind shear, and that means the rain and storms within this tropical disturbance will be able to build up. Wind shear would be winds in the opposite direction that come across way up high and knock off the thunderstorm tops, and that's a good thing. I like high wind shear because then it's hard for things to build up and develop. But the water temperatures are warm. The wind shear is going to be low later this week. So Jamaica back toward Belize, somewhere in there, that's where this could start to spin up into a tropical storm later this week. If it were to do that sooner, of course, you know I would let you know. So right now, the positive news, aside from, of course, the flooding, I'm not diminishing that, but we don't have a named system in the Eastern Caribbean. We are watching some of the areas of rain. This is the icon model. This is, by the time we get into tomorrow, some of the extra rain near Haiti, Dominican Republic, and Puerto Rico. Still not a developed system according to the icon model. Remember, the icon model's been off on this. This would have already been a full-blown tropical storm if this was right a few days ago. So it is showing kind of a weaker scenario in the short term. Now, a few things to point out here. Let me just jump into Thursday. This is Thursday. This is when it starts to develop. Jamaica, Cayman Islands, something trying to develop here. This may be catching your attention too. It keeps trying to spin up something in the Gulf of Mexico. And another spot we're watching is right here. It's kind of 50-50 if that does develop. I'm not sure yet. That is way out there. And you know, this season, there's been so much dry air out there. I was just talking about that. But let's go out in time here. This is by Friday. The icon model saying, hey, some sort of tropical depression, maybe a tropical storm moves into the Yucatan of Mexico or Belize. Give me one extra day in Belize, and I'll know if we need to go into monitor mode or not at this point. So just kind of hanging tight and watching. And then the icon model's not quite sure, kind of showing some extra moisture, something trying to develop back toward the Bay of Campeche. Wait and see on this. This is by the time we get into Friday night and Saturday, and it's still trying to show something kind of developing as it approaches the Eastern Caribbean as we get toward the weekend. That's really a wait and see. Some of the models picking up on that, some are not. So yes, of course, you know I am watching this right here, but also watching what's going on in the Atlantic. So here's the American model, which has done a rather good job as far as forecasting this area. And you see some of the rain right there that continues to work in today. This would be by tomorrow. Not a named system, so Puerto Rico, there's not going to be a named system or hurricane with this batch that will be trying to move in. We'll get some of the extra rain and storms. This here, though, is by Wednesday, and you see here Wednesday, and we're still thinking of our friends in the Bahamas that have been dealing with a lot of flooding and over toward parts of the Gulf. But you see here, this is when we get more of a kind of that blob of some rain as things start to try to develop a little bit of a spin here. So this is by Thursday. That's why Jamaica and the Cayman Islands, we are in monitor mode for the potential of some development, or at least trying to develop, at least the higher chance of some rain and storms. And there's that spot the icon model was also picking up on that is back toward the east. Watching all these fronts up here. There's so much to watch this time of year. I hope I'm able to simplify it for you as we work our way here on Friday. This is when it is showing a tropical depression or tropical storm trying to develop in the Western Caribbean. Then does it move this way, or does it work its way out to the west? I believe it's going to move a little bit more to the west And then it may make a curl a bit to the north once it gets into the Gulf of Mexico. But right here, that would be a tropical storm on Saturday, very close to Honduras, Belize, and the Yucatan of Mexico. So you see it here. Here are those fronts that are up to the north that are trying to kind of pull this up to the north. And let's go out in time further. This is by the time we get into Sunday, and a few things on this map as well. So this would be a tropical storm in here. Here's that front up there, and then watching that little spot over there. So I'm keeping an eye on those additional things. It's September. There's going to be multiple things to track, but it shows a tropical storm trying to work into the Yucatan of Mexico, parts of Central America, and then this moisture would lift into the Western Caribbean. And the American model does want to intensify something in the Western Gulf as we get into next week. That is a huge wait and see. This is over a week from now. So kind of putting that out on the back burner. And then you see here, that's that other spot the Icon model was also picking up on, potential of a developing tropical storm again. So there's going to be, we'll track it storm by storm. There'll be multiple things to watch, but right now the highest concern is the flooding and then the eventual development in the Western Caribbean. Now here's the European model that is not showing a lot of development. So let's just kind of run through this. Here's Jamaica, here's Haiti, get over toward Aruba, Curacao, and Bonaire. This is by Tuesday, tomorrow, some extra rain. This here is by Wednesday, some of that rain near Jacmel, trying to move back toward Jamaica, rain in the central sections of the Caribbean, and then it moves into the Western Caribbean, some of the extra rain, but the European model right now is not showing anything spinning up, just shows that extra rain around Jamaica, but I do believe something is going to try to spin up. I think the American model, it has a good handle on this, trying to spin something up in the Western Caribbean, and then you see some of that extra rain, but kind of even hard to find something here by the time we get into Friday. So the European model has backed off. We go out in time here. This is by Saturday, and it's not even really seeing a whole lot out here. Maybe this spot out here will try to develop off toward the east of the Eastern Caribbean. I would like the European model to pan out because that's kind of the weakest. The Icon model is aggressive with developing things. The European model is weaker. The American model seems right in between. Now let's run out in time of the winds. Look at this map here. This shows the development. This here is based on the American model, and this is what I'm leaning to now as far as what would happen. We'd get some gustier winds midweek, nothing crazy, kilometers an hour and miles per hour on the map, but let me just zoom out into the end of the week, right? So this is by the time we get into Friday. A few things we're watching here. Friday, somewhere in here, we'll start to see some development right in here. There's a little bit of a curl, and watch how things start to spin up right there. Let me stop it here. This would be Saturday, and this is the American model showing a tropical storm, or at least a tropical depression, more likely a tropical storm right here. See some of the winds right there, that white shading there. Those would be winds of about 50 miles per hour, 80 kilometers an hour, working their way toward the Yucatan of Mexico and Belize, and watching, of course, Honduras on the north side. This is showing some sort of tropical storm Friday into Saturday, working its way toward the Yucatan, parts of Central America, and keeping an eye on this spot. You see that right there? That's the other area that we'll try to develop, and let's just hope that kind of misses us, of course, at that point, but I'll get into that more tomorrow. So this is showing a tropical storm developing in the Western Caribbean, but that's why we're in monitor mode, Jamaica and the Cayman Islands, and of course, just spreading the word about this. Short term, please let me know how we're doing. St. Lucia, Barbados, Dominica, St. Vincent the Grenadines, Grenada, areas of rain and storms. And then you see here, again, this is the American model, the one I think is having a good handle on this. There's the rain building by the time we get into the middle of the week. Here we are in Jamaica. At this, I will definitely know if it's trying to spin up at this point. As we get into Thursday, you see some of the extra rain that will be nearby, but that's when it starts to build. You see it right there. More and more rain starts to build. And I showed you the wind model that was showing it at this point, starting to try to at least find a circulation and then work its way off toward the west, and there's that other area that is out there in the Atlantic. Wave heights are going to be increasing, always thinking of those on the water, and you see here 2 to about 3 meters. So we're looking at anywhere from about 6 to about 10 feet as this tropical disturbance slides by. So choppier seas as we work our way especially through the Central Caribbean. This is on Wednesday, and you see it right here, Wednesday, those seas building, and this is by Thursday. And then if this does develop, of course, those seas are really going to increase in the Western Caribbean once we hit about Friday, Saturday into Sunday. So giving you that early heads up. Now, if this area gets a name, the next name on the list is Francine. Of course, we're watching a few spots, as I mentioned. We have this tropical disturbance on top of us in the Eastern Caribbean. Caribbean now, but there are a few more tropical waves out there that are hinting at some development. So Francine is the next name, then Gordon, then Helene, Isaac, and Joyce. Now, as far as the rain goes, the amounts of rain in the Bahamas has gone down. It won't be as high over the next few days, but there's still going to be some rain. And since we've had the flooding, it's not going to take us too much more. We could get a couple spots that give us an additional 50 millimeters of rain or 2 inches of rain. Elsewhere, kind of scattered. But this is, see right here, see these brighter colors? This is showing that tropical disturbance that's sliding by. So heaviest rain would be south of Haiti, the Dominican Republic, and Puerto Rico. But we would get some of those scattered showers. I'll show you that with a forecast in just a second. So we could get some batches of heavier rain, over 75 millimeters of rain or 3 inches of rain in some spots. Same thing anywhere from Anguilla down to the south. It just depends on where some of those pockets of rain set up. Some spots over 75 millimeters of rain or 3 inches of rain. Same thing Dominica, Martinique, St. Lucia, St. Vincent the Grenadines, Grenada. Here's Barbados, Trinidad, northeastern Venezuela. So point being active, not a named system, but watching out for some isolated flooding. Not as much in Suriname and Guyana, but still that chance of some rain. Now we get back towards Central America, some heavier pockets, Guatemala, El Salvador, watching out for areas of flooding. And then as we swing back toward Mexico, that rain chance has gotten a lot higher, much higher totals, over 100 millimeters of rain or 4 inches of rain over the next couple of days. And with that, there's going to be additional flooding in Mexico. There's been a lot of flooding. So thinking of you if you're dealing with some of that. So 50 to 60% chance of scattered showers and storms in Jamaica. We're in monitor mode. All eyes off to the east. Same thing as we work our way through the Cayman Islands. We're in monitor mode. 30 to 40% chance of some scattered showers the next few days. Now, here's where it's elevated now with our tropical disturbance moving in. Trinidad and Tobago, scattered areas of rain and storms today. A little more widespread potential of that near Barbados and St. Lucia. So higher chance of rain earlier in the week. Then it's going to start to trend down. You see it right here the next couple days. Grenada, we're looking at a 60% chance of showers and storms. St. Vincent the Grenadines, a 70 to 80% chance of some rain and storms today. Not all day, but that chance of rain as we especially hit the afternoon into tonight. Martinique, a 60 to 70% chance. A 70% chance in Dominica today. A 50% chance tomorrow, down to a 30% chance on Wednesday. We do that same thing right through Guadeloupe. So earlier in the week, the rain chance higher, watching out for areas of rain and even some gusty winds. Antigua and Barbuda for today. And we'll do that through St. Kitts and Nevis and Montserrat. By the middle of the week, it'll be settled as that tropical disturbance will be moving off toward the west. Anguilla and St. Bart's, rain chance higher today, lower tomorrow. We do that in St. Martin, Saba, and Statia. A 60% chance of rain today. A 60% chance today in Puerto Rico. Scattered areas of rain and storms over the next few days. Scattered areas of some rain. 40 to 50% chance U.S. and British Virgin Islands over the next 2 days. Bahamas, we're looking at still a 60% chance favoring our northern and central sections. 30% chance the next couple of days, Turks and Caicos. It will get a little higher in the Dominican Republic tomorrow and Wednesday with the most of that tropical disturbance just to the south, but the rain chance does take up a little bit, and you see that as well in Haiti, a 50% chance on Wednesday, 30% chance the next couple days in Belize. We are watching carefully what's happening with this tropical disturbance. Could get a passing shower, Aruba, Curacao, Bonaire, especially midweek. That's when we would have at least a slightly better chance of getting a shower. Best chance of some rain would be today in Guyana. Then that rain chance goes down, and you see not too high in Suriname. Tomorrow and Wednesday, just a 20% chance. Scattered areas of rain and storms in Cuba, keeping that 50% chance over the next several days. Costa Rica and Panama, 70% chance. Watching out for some areas of flooding. Nicaragua, 40 to 50% chance. 30% chance today in Honduras. 50% chance as we work our way into tomorrow and Wednesday, and we're monitoring that tropical disturbance that may try to spin up into a tropical storm. Guatemala and El Salvador, watching out for the flooding. Please be mindful of those river crossings and some of those mudslides, landslides, whatever you want to call them. Mexico City, rain chance higher side, scattered about across the Yucatan, 50% chance, 30 to 40% chance in northern Colombia, 30 to 40% chance in northern Venezuela the next 3 days. Rain chance will be a little bit higher on Wednesday in Bermuda. with a front coming off of the U.S. So first concern, those areas of flooding in the eastern Caribbean, this disturbance, I need to switch my letters here, the disturbance moves west. Development will be possible as in just a few days as we get toward the middle and end of the week once this gets closer to Jamaica. So this could be a tropical storm as it gets closer to Belize. That long-term forecast still a bit uncertain, and I'm not just talking about this tropical disturbance, but also what's out there because there's been so much dry air this season, which is good. So a wait and see if those tropical waves off the coast of Africa will develop, and I'll be tracking that for you, of course, nonstop. So thank you for putting your comments, location, what you've got going on. Be careful with the flooding. I'll be watching that throughout the day. Be safe and have a good rest of your day.